Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us on 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. Despite being the ones to actually write prescriptions, many doctors say they lack true control over what medications their patients are able to take, thanks to so-called insurance middlemen. Our national investigative team dug into benefit plans and asked industry experts about the complicated system of getting medication covered. Here's Lee Zurich with permission to prescribe.
Doctors' offices across the country strangled by red tape.
There's so many things wrong with this system.
It seems simple. Go to the doctor. An expert identifies a medical problem and hopefully finds a solution. But that's when the system can take over. A network of people and policies outside the office that influence and even overrule that doctor's professional opinion. A convoluted system of red tape.
My very first question is, what is your insurance company? Can you imagine that?
Mike Phillips got caught up in the red tape. He remembers days in his early 40s when he felt twice his age.
Any type of normal activity got to be a strain. Something as simple as washing a car, you could do it, but later that night you just feel like you'd been beaten with a baseball bat. The back hurts, the arms hurts, the knees hurt, you can't stand up, it's hard to sleep, all of those things.
Doctors diagnosed him with psoriatic arthritis, an inflammatory autoimmune disease that has no cure, but can be managed with medication.
What you also learn is, unlike a broken bone, there's no test where you can go take and the doctor say, oh, you have this type of psoriatic arthritis and this medicine works. It's really a hit or miss, try different things and see what works type situation.
His doctor found the right medication that got control of his symptoms until his family had to change insurance companies, and he learned the drug that worked would no longer be covered unless he and his doctor proved his symptoms were not controlled by two of the new plan's preferred drugs.
They never gave me any medical justification for the switch whatsoever. It's just simply they have a list and they say you have to take two of these medicines before we'll approve another medicine. And there's no medical discussion, there's no back and forth with your doctor.
Phillips had to change drugs because insurance plans have what they call formulary lists that detail which medications the plans will cover. Those lists put together by pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, middlemen who handle prescription drug benefits for most commercial health insurance plans. The big three PBMs, CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and Optum Rx hold more than 75% of the market. PBMs control which prescriptions insurance will cover, meaning sometimes what patients are able to take is in direct opposition to what a doctor thinks is best.
Well, and it's frustrating too, because as you learn, if you go to these different insurance companies, they all have what they call their preferred list, and they don't match up. So they're not medically created. It's not as if science and testing has proven these are the four best medicines. It's who they feel they're getting preferable or preferential treatment from. Those are the ones that are on their list.
It's a financial decision instead of a medical decision.
It's 100% a financial decision.
The PBMs, these middlemen, were designed to create buying power for insurers. Their argument, they save money by securing the lowest net cost for medications and encouraging use of those discounted drugs or cheaper generics before anything else.
And then in those instances where there's robust competition in a particular therapeutic area, right? So there's several different drug manufacturers making a treatment for a particular condition, and they all work equally well, then the PBM can use some of those process steps to try and encourage the physician and the patient to look to the most affordable, most effective option first.
Investigate TV analyzed standard drug plans published online by the three largest PBMs, looking at 12 types of commonly prescribed drugs. Our analysis shows why it might be difficult for a patient to take the exact prescription drug their doctor thinks will work best. For example, the brand name drug Synthroid, which treats an underactive thyroid, is a preferred choice on one list, but would most likely not be covered at all by the other two. The document showed restrictions even within generic drugs, excluding certain doses and manufacturers from their preferred lists.
They are all, in those instances where there's a lot of equally effective options, trying to encourage the use of the lowest net cost option. And so for a particular plan, it may be a generic for a particular condition. It may be a brand that's brought that discount down below the cost of the generic. That is a big part of the recommendation process.
While you may think the pharmaceutical industry likes these deals and negotiations, it too says PBMs have too much power over pricing and patients.
At times, are the PBMs getting in the way of doctors and patients and deciding for them which should be used?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. There's a reason that state AGs, state legislatures, the Federal Trade Commission, that bipartisan members of Congress are investigating PBMs right now, because there's widespread concern about the impact that PBM practices are having on patients and their ability to access the medicines that their doctors say that they need.
Do they have too much control?
They do. I mean, we see that in terms of what medicines do patients get, how much do they have to pay, and what hoops do they have to jump through to be able to access those medicines.
There's a lot more to medicine than checking boxes and making money.
Rheumatologist Dr. Madeline Feldman has been an outspoken critic of PBMs.
You can prescribe a drug, and if it's not covered in this formulary, your patient can't take the drug likely.
Exactly right. And people have said, yes, they're practicing medicine without a license. Well, their answer to that is, doctor, you can prescribe whatever you want. We're not telling you what to prescribe. We're just telling you what we'll pay for.
When we asked the PBM trade group, we got pretty much that exact response.
If doctors are saying this is what I want you to take, and the patient is not allowed to take that because of a PBM, is that right?
I would challenge the premise of your question, because the patient is always able to take the medication that the doctor wants them to take. We're talking about what's covered by the insurance plan and how quickly the insurance plan may be able to respond to a doctor's request for an exception or for a course of action that may be different than the recommendation.
But financial decisions have physical consequences. Research shows that for patients like Dr. Feldman's, having to jump through hoops set by PBMs can cause measurable negative outcomes.
I've had patients that have lost control of their disease. I've had patients that have had to go on higher doses of steroids, and their blood sugar goes up, their blood pressure goes up.
PBMs claim these situations are outliers.
So you think these are exceptions that we're talking about?
I do.
And not happening a lot across the country?
I think that for the most part, millions and millions of patients the system works smoothly for.
But hundreds of comments to federal regulators we read through paint a different picture. One where doctors across the country allege the red tape put in place by PBMs is hurting their patients.
It's not against the law. As I like to call it, it's perfectly legal and perfectly wrong.
And patients like Mike Phillips are left tangled up in the debate over who really has permission to prescribe.
Use some common sense. It's okay to save some money. It's okay to review these things, but when a medical doctor who's been treating a patient on something like this for years tells you he needs to stay on the medicine that he's staying on, listen to the doctor. At least ask for something more if you're going to switch, more than just financial reasons.
All right, now it's time for a check of our weather with meteorologist Corey Kowitz. Corey, you just said some words that I haven't heard together before, but it sounds super cool.
We had, guess what? It's called Thunder Snow.
Thunder
Maybe
Snow.
you could put it
I
together,
like that
right?
song. I'm just kidding.
Thunder. That'd be a cool song.
Yeah.
Thunder Snow, the AC/DC.
Uh-huh.
There you go. But we had Thunder Snow. It's actually one of my favorite weather phenomena, so I'm kind
Yeah,
of geeking out over
for
it.
sure.
I think it's really cool. I think everyone thinks it's kind of cool, so that's what I'm going to break down first. Mary.
Okay.
It's a really, really busy weather day we had today. So let's look at that radar loop of when it happened. So it happened around the noon to 1 o'clock time frame. So here's that radar. The blue means snow, and you can see that cutoff. That's where the Catalinas are, where that blue is. But look what happens. Yeah, there you go. There's that lightning strikes, a few of them up there. That is thunder snow, and I called up there to the general store there on Summerhaven, and I saw that, and I was like, well, did it really happen? So I called them. They said, yeah, we heard the thunder, so confirmed thunder snow happened. You're probably wondering, how in the world was there a thunderstorm while it was snowing? Well, there's a multitude of factors that have to come together. you first, really, the main ingredient is you have to have the instability, the ability for air to rise. So really have to have enough warm and moist air at the surface there, and enough cold air at the top as well to create that instability, convection, and therefore lightning and thunderstorm development. And what thunderstorm is in the snow, thunder snow, it's similar to a thunderstorm, but the difference is it's snowing. You usually don't have those severe components, but hey, you got the heavy precip in the form of snow, and you got the thunder, and you got the lightning. And why it's rare, and you can maybe guess, right? You need the instability, you need more of that warm, moist air. You think warm, moist, you think more of monsoon, you think of the summer. And that's why it's more rare to get thunder snow, because obviously it's cold when it's snowing. So when those factors come together, it's pretty rare. And guess what? We had it today on top of Mount Lemmon. So pretty cool stuff. Let's go through that radar loop now. We had that cold front coming in behind it. We're going to see those temperatures plummet as those skies clear. We also saw, as that cold front went through, very gusty winds. Check out the top wind gust reports. Where you see that purple, that's pretty much 40 mile per hour plus, and almost everyone saw at least 40 mile per hour winds. That includes the Tucson area. How about towards the east? Douglas, 51 mile per hour gust. How about to the north and east, 55 in Safford, and 67 mile per hour gust in Springerville. That's getting close to hurricane force gusts there. Pretty impressive. But right now, those winds are a lot calmer. Still a little windy out east. Those windy conditions will move from west to east, calming down throughout the remainder of the night. Then by the overnight hours, say around midnight, pretty much all of us should be dealing with more tame winds. So we saw that cold front through that brought the winds, but obviously what it's also going to do is bring in cold air. On the back end of this system, we're going to have very cold temperatures for tomorrow morning, while we have those freeze alerts, hard freeze warning, where you see that lighter purple, lows down to 26. That includes most of Pima and Pinal County, and that does include the Tucson Metro. And the only spot that has that freeze warning, well, the only spot that has a freeze alert that's not a hard freeze warning is in the Phoenix Metro. They just have a regular freeze warning, where we're not expecting those temperatures to really get that far below the freezing mark for this morning. Well, here's why we have that hard freeze warning when we have that first alert action night. Tucson lows in the upper 20s. How about the lows in the teens for some spots like Wilcox, Benson, and Douglas? Lower 20s for Bisbee and Sierra Vista and Safford, as well as Nogales. And even Ajo, out west, they usually have trouble getting to freezing levels. But yeah, we're projecting pretty much the whole region, even including Ajo, to get to that freezing level. So protect the 4 P's of a freeze. People, minimize time outdoors, check on elderly and other vulnerable people. Pets, keep them inside or bundled up. Pipes, make sure to insulate them. Open the sink cabinets to expose them to heated air. Disconnect the hose and water. And plants, know their temp thresholds. If needed, cover them up and or bring them inside. Okay, so we have that freeze tomorrow, going to be right on the edge of that hard freeze at around 28. Then Saturday morning, expect another freeze, but lighter. But then after that, yeah, we're not really going to have those freezing lows any longer. And that's kind of a sign of things to come with those warmer temperatures. Those warmer temperatures won't come tomorrow. We'll see those only getting up to the mid-50s like what we had today. So another cool day, 11 degrees below average, those lighter winds but sunny skies. And then as you head to MLK weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we settle into a little bit of a warmer pattern in the mid to high 60s, with those lows also warming up to around 40 as well. And overall, that 70 forecast shows even more warming too. Yes, Mary, I think a lot of people are going to be happy about this. In the back end of the 7-day, late or mid to late next week, we could see those 70s return after a very cold snap that we've had to begin the year. Very cold.
I'm very excited to see
Yeah.
those 70s back up there. I know a lot of people are too. So thanks for bringing the good news, Corey.
Yes, I gotcha.
Love it. Well, hope you all are having an awesome evening. We will leave you with a live look of the Tucson metro area. We hope you will also join us for 13 News Live at 10, where we will have more news and weather. And if you don't, have a great evening.